So we got today with us the International Casting Agency. So Charlie, give us a wave. He's down there at the bottom there on the screen.
How are you?
We're very good. We're very good. International Casting Agency is a full-service casting agency specialising in circus arts, athletes, dancers, actors, musicians and singers. ICA is continually developing the highest quality independent database of performers in the world in order to provide the best in talent and casting services on the market. The company's team of experienced scouts and casting professionals are located around the world, ensuring the most unique and creative performers end up on our client stages. So that is ICA. We've got Sparc International. So down in the corner there, we've got Richard and Adicia.
Hey.
Sparc International. Hi, guys. Sparc International came to life from the meeting of two passions, two vocations, but one vision of the live entertainment world. With a combined 60 years of experience in the living arts, their need to share their skills and expertise with others brought them together and created a spark they want to ignite in others who share their love of the stage. And finally, we've got Verse Concept. So Jean and Max in the screen together there. Say hi.
Hello, guys.
Verse Concept is the brand born of the pandemic, created by Max and Jean in the fall of 2020. Verse Concept serves as a foundation for the creation and development of new artistic projects while offering boutique products and artworks to the aerial and circus world. And we're going to see a lot of pictures of their work very, very soon. So welcome, everybody. And before we get into asking some wonderful questions, maybe we'll start with Charlie, just to give you a little background of, we've just spoke about ICA, but about you personally.
Absolutely. So originally I was a power tumbler, gymnastics for Great Britain, competed at World European Championships, and then joined Cirque in 2011 as an artist, performed in special events, and then ended up at La Nuba in Orlando, Florida, where I had my career with circus and artist. Following that, I then moved into the casting department and worked in Montreal on new creations, on the training programs, and then moved down to Vegas to work on the resident shows and a couple of touring as well, and Paramore in New York and the more resident-based shows. And then 2020 happened, and we all had our moment of reevaluation. And yeah, I decided to start International Casting Agency to really try and combine all that experience that I was lucky enough to have, and move forward as we come out of this.
Wonderful. Thank you, Charlie. All right, over to Sparc. Maybe start with Richard. A little brief introduction for you.
Sure, thank you, Anna. Well, my background, I've been in the entertainment business for about 37 years now. I started as a classical ballet dancer with the Royal Winnipeg Ballet before I joined Canadian Actors Equity as a business rep. So I learned a lot about the legal stuff, the contract, the negotiation, all that fun stuff. Before I joined Cirque in 2001, started in casting, then went on tour as an artistic director with Saltimbanco, with Corteo, came back to headquarters in Montreal. We continued to be senior AD for Kidam, for Saltimbanco and Arena. So we did a transfer in Arena. I also did creative director for the event department for 45 Degrees for a long time, but also worked on Paramore, on Lucia, on Hoya as a director of creation. And when I left Cirque, I spent 1 year in Dubai to work on Franco Show at La Perle. And it was a beautiful experience before COVID hits, and then here we are. And yeah, so we'll talk about Sparc a little bit after, but that's basically it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Richard. And Adicia.
Hello. So I worked for 23 years on the circus industry. I started, my background is rhythmic gymnastics. I started with Cirque in 1998 as a performer. I did it for 10 years. And then I decided to move to Montreal and keep working with Cirque du Soleil and other companies as a freelancer. I work also with Seto de la Mar, Circle Was, Friedrichshain, Palace Berlin, and other companies that I will mention. And I worked my way out through many positions the past 13 years, and I became an artistic director, a stage director, and acrobatic performer designer. I also recently, during the pandemic, I had the opportunity with that crisis to work with another company named Limbic. They do interaction lighting experience, outdoor, indoors. So that was new, a new opportunity for me, and it was fantastic. And I created a few concepts for them. And well, inside of Cirque du Soleil, I work in many departments, 45 degrees, big creations, big tubs, so on. And here we are with, we will talk about it, co-founder of Sparc International, of course.
Oh, I'm excited to hear more. Okay, moving over to Verse, Jean and Max. Who wants to start?
Max. All right, I can start. Hello, everybody. My name is Max. I've been an aerial acrobat for a little bit over 20 years. And also I do photography. I've been doing photography for about 10 years. As an aerial acrobat, I have worked with many companies like that we all know, like Cirque du Soleil. I work with singers like Cher on tour. At the same time, when I start thinking, okay, what's going to be my next step in my career after I can't hang in there anymore, I decided to go back to school. So I took photography classes for about 3 years and started developing my own projects little by little, collaborating with different colleagues. And now when the pandemic hits is when I start focusing more on that. And also I was artistic director for the Cirque du Soleil nightclub. So I had choreographed and create a lot of different pieces for them. It was a small period of time, but yeah, I've done a little bit of everything. And now it's time to create my own niche with the skills I have.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So that was very brief for everything that he's done. Myself, I came from an elite diving background on the Australian diving team for a little while. An accident in the diving kind of forced me out of competition there, and I happened to just very, very luckily stumble into Cirque du Soleil, the general formation. And then 2 years later, because nobody wants to quit O. So after waiting 2 years after my training for my contract to arrive, I spent 8 years as a high dive Russian swing artist in O. And then after that, moved on to coaching, and I've been previously to the pandemic coaching at the House of Dancing Water in Macau for approximately 3.5 years on and off. And then, after the latest contract with House of Dancing Water was interrupted by the pandemic, kind of came and putted around Vegas for a while until Max and I decided to do something with our time and get creative and create those concepts.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for that introduction. So the thing that I think that's really interesting to begin with is that you've all taken this time in the pandemic to start something, but you've all started something in very different aspects of the industry. And I find that quite fascinating, what people have decided to do with their time during the pandemic and what direction they've taken. So I'd really like to start with each of you at each company, and again, maybe we'll start with Charlie because I threw over to him first. What motivated to start? I mean, I think yours came from probably maybe a need, but what motivated you to start the company, and why now?
Yeah, so a bit of everything, and what I foresaw as a need, yes, but I think when everything all happened and we all shut down and we all were in our houses and we got over the vacation period and we realized that actually this is not going to be just a few weeks of us at home having early cocktails, and thought, okay, what are we actually going to do to come out of this? And then realized the entertainment industry was going to be hit pretty hard. I had my 2 weeks of, I should go and become a financial advisor or do something different and just leave entertainment, which I think everybody had their moment of that, as is natural. But I kind of looked again and thought, no, this is something that I've dedicated my life to, like everybody else here. I really just kind of sat back for a second and thought, what are the skill sets that I have on a more global kind of outlook and a global view, and how could I possibly apply that into something new, and how that could potentially apply to a new way of doing business in the entertainment industry. So really, I looked at the Broadway model, the dance model, everything that's kind of not circus, because circus was so dominated by 1, 2 big companies, 3 big companies. I thought, okay, they've been doing it their way. Let's have a look at how everybody else has been doing this. And that's what sparked the idea to create a casting agency, casting company similar to the department that Cirque had as an internal department, but really create that outside so that moving forward, other companies and other directors and other acrobatic designers can come to this resource and use it and use it for their shows. And I do think I'm staying positive that out of this, there's going to be a lot more opportunity for more freelance directors. There's going to be newer production companies that are growing, newer shows that are having all these people that were maybe locked into either in one company and was having their career with one company. I think now it's kind of blown the doors open a little bit to more creativity and more opportunity for people like Eddie and directors to go out there and have new contracts, like the one that Eddie was mentioning, something a bit different and not necessarily what we would have done previously. So that was what kind of sparked my kind of passion to do this, and we're kind of building over the last 6-7 months to really prepare ourselves to be ready for when that go button is pressed, which I've said a lot recently, but it's like being ready for the speed at which it's going to happen, because when it happens, it's going to happen very quick. We've had this conversation, Anna. It's like we're all on hold waiting, and then it's going to be 100 miles an hour. So that's kind of our story and where we came from.
No, it's very interesting to see that you're starting a kind of maybe a new model in the way that this works, and time will tell if we can, if it takes it across the line, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's a new old model because it's a model that a lot of the other areas of the entertainment industry has always used. In New York, there's 5 or so big casting companies that all of the Broadway shows call and say, hey, I have a new production. Can you manage my casting process and get it all done? So we're a little bit different because circus is always a little bit different, and it's a bit of a special industry. So it's definitely important to be adaptive, but it's kind of bringing something that was working somewhere else and seeing if we can apply it to our niche and our industry. Yeah.
Tiffany has a question. Says you also work with writers. What is the scope of the people that you are looking to cast with ICA?
That's a really interesting question, because when I first started this, and over the summer, another one of the great things about the summer was the amount of Zoom calls I had with connections that I made with people that I had relationships with, even with Richard and Eddie. Like we connected very early on when we were discussing our ideas, and that was great to kind of have that support and have input from other people. And I was getting lots of questions from Eddie saying, what about acrobatic choreographers? What about directors? What about this? And other people also said the same. And I got very excited about the whole thing. When you're starting a business, you get very excited and start opening up your eyes. But I then had to kind of have that moment of, all right, you need to focus. You need to focus on one thing to start with and build something, because if you try and do everything, you're not going to do anything right. So right now we very much focus on the on-stage performer, but that's something that we'll be super excited to kind of collaborate with. For instance, with Sparc, we were talking about how we've partnered in the way that if somebody comes to me saying, hey, we need to do we want to cast this show, but we don't know what we're doing in terms of acrobatics and aerial, then I can be like, well, I know the people that do. So yeah, exactly. I'm like, know the people that do. So it's all about that kind of collaborative feel. And I feel that we kind of are focusing on this little area of on stage, but that's not to say that through the networks that we've built through the years, that it's going to build on from that, and we all have our different areas. So yeah, everything and anything. Right now, the word is yes. When anybody calls, can you do this? Yes, yeah, we're going to do it. So if ever there's situations like that, right now we don't really have the facility on our database for writers, etc. But it's something that we're looking to build on.
Wonderful. So moving then to Sparc, seeing that there seems to be already some collaboration opportunities between the two of you. Tell us more about what Sparc is, what it does, and why you started it.
What? Who starts? Well, I want to tell a little bit story at the beginning before actually Sparc started. You know, I think it will motivate people, you know. As you say, you were asking what was the motivation, and for me was the passion, my passion towards the circus industry, that it could not be fade up, right? And like Charles say, being confined in the house and everything is stressful, financially, physically, psychological, everything. One day I asked to myself what I can do, how I can help. Actually, I asked to myself how I can help. You know, I have to do something. I have to reach out. I have to communicate. I have to talk to others. What's happening? Hello, right? So I did. I put together a little promo video and shared it in social media, and started to reach out. You know, here I am. You know, just. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a brainstorm. Let's have a creative moment. Let's have anything. I am here. How I can help. So the magic started, actually. Artists started to call me from all over the place. We started to have, you can call it consultations or meetings or whatever, you know. We started to have this exchange. It was so fascinated and grateful. And, you know, it was an exchange between everyone, right? Like, it was not for me to just bring my expertise and my knowledge. I was looking also for that feedback, for that passion back to, you know, to lead again that spark. Of course, the spark came that way, you know, that spark that they was fading out, you know, that people was just they didn't know what to do, you know, they didn't know what path to take. So it was beautiful. I have to say that it was beautiful, of course, free of charge, all of this, you know. I started to do tons of consultations, tons of service, and that's where Richard came into place. He called me one day and he had the same vision. He wanted to do the same thing. He wanted to provide more service. He thought that, you know, there was a huge idea and vision to what, you know, I started, and he wanted to do kind of the same, you know, the same thing. And we started to brainstorm and get together and you know, just, that's how, you know, that spark, that lead started with us, no? Right? I mean, Richard, just, I don't want to talk.
No, but what's interesting about this process is that it comes to a point when, because I've been working in the industry for a long time, and over the years you accumulate a lot of knowledge, you go through a lot of experience, and then everything stops. And you kind of ask yourself questions like, okay, I've been in the industry for a long time. What are my transferable skills? What do I have that I've accumulated over the years, because personally I've never been to university. I don't have a degree or anything like this. Everything that I've learned on the job. And when I saw what Eddie was doing online, I found it incredibly inspiring. And it clicked in my head where I said, there is a huge need right now, but also later on, for what we've lived to get, like, in the industry over the years, and share that expertise with people. I've been doing that when I was an artistic director on the different shows, where people, you manage people. You manage when you're on a fixed show, on a touring show, you're with them for a long period of time, 2, 3, 4 years, and life happens, and you accompany those people through life. So that's what I was looking also at what Eddie was doing. And when I called her, I was like, well, let's brainstorm about what are the skills and what the experience that we have, and how can we offer that to people. And this is when we started to get categories. So we have individuals that we can help, and there's companies that we can help, companies on a creative level, on an operational level, but also on a human level for performers. I've done 3 career transitions over my life, and probably it's not going to be the last one. So I've been through it, and I know how to go about it. Same thing with Eddie. We've done creative process. So we try basically to put all these different skills that we've had and say, well, here it is. Let's offer it to people. And it was interesting to see the response, because the biggest compliment, I think, it was that how important people felt it was to have resources to go to and bounce ideas and get advice and get directions on things, and what happens to you and what are the pitfalls, and so on. And I think what also was the most inspiring thing for me, and I think probably the most useful thing that we can say to people today, is that we didn't really rely on waiting for the big companies to come back and save us. The industry itself is there to support what we do. And this is where the collaborations with Charlie, with Gene and Max, this is for me probably the most inspiring thing, because we're people from the industry that started from a blank page, but we didn't stay in our own little silo. We sort of reached out to each other, and when we found that even with such different things that we're doing, and we try to put out there, there's help that we can give each other, and this is what is really at the core of our strength, is really that collaborations that we have and that support. And I think that if you start looking around you and your network of people and the skills that are around, you'll find some incredible resources and some incredible help that people can benefit from. And then you start helping each other, like things that we've done.
You realize that you have it there. You realize that you have it right there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I want to just add, because when you went into that, Richard, it's exactly what I was thinking. And very, very early on, me and Eddie connected, and then with Richard. But Eddie mentioned the passion and kind of the excitement and wanting to give back and create something new. That's infectious. That energy is super infectious. And the more conversations you have like that, the more it kind of spurs you on to keep going when maybe things you have your days. It's like a roller coaster. There's one day you wake up and you think this project's it's gonna work, everybody's gonna want it, it's gonna be so successful, and then you wake up the next day and exactly the same idea is the worst idea you've ever had, and everyone's gonna think, what are you doing? So those conversations that we had, and then more recently with Gene and Max as well, us coming together, it's like a mini support network. And I had former colleagues and good friends that I would be reaching out to on the regular, just to kind of have a sounding board. And that, like what Richard said, that was so important and has been what has allowed this to grow. And without that, it wouldn't happen. Like the stronger we are together, kind of mentality is the only way forward, in my opinion, rather than the trying to do it by myself in the competitive nature, whatever. It's not what this is about. We can learn from each other and reach out and learn lots from all of these guys. So it's something
you don't have to feel alone. You have to reach out.
No, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's how, the doors are open, and we have to support each other, and you have to find the people that complement you, right? I think that's really important to in order to go forward with your vision, right? Because there is people and people, okay? We all not complement each other like we have to, but there is out there many people that can support you and go forward. This is we're a community. We're a huge community,
Exactly.
and we know each other. It's not such a big community neither. We all know each other. So,
and then what
true,
you're
and I
doing.
think-
No, I was going to say,
Sorry, go
also
ahead.
what you're doing, Anna, with Theatre Life is helping us tremendously. It's helping the industry tremendously,
Yeah,
giving
definitely.
that platform.
Well, I was just going to say that with Sparc, I think it's or all of you, but Sparc as well. That it's during the pandemic, people have a lot more downtime, and access to people like you during our normal work life can be very limited, right? So the time to sit down and understand the process of how something gets created, or the process of how you transition from one being a performer into a more higher level thing, having an opportunity to have those conversations and start to understand that is a real opportunity for growth for people in the industry. And like you said, it's a wonderful thing to then have that blank canvas, go, well, where can I go after this? And with you guys offering that support, it's a wonderful thing. So let's move on then to Verse. Tell us a little bit about your motivation for starting your stuff and why.
You want me to start?
Yeah, sure.
So my motivation to start Burst is like my motivation to start anything. When I start Aerial, I was really passionate about it. I fall in love. And when you do something that it comes from your heart, I think you put like 100% and you're going to be successful. The same with photography. I always wanted to learn photography, but, postponed them, for work stuff, and then until I signed up for my first class at school, and then I got obsessed, and I was there for like 3 years taking classes. So I feel like everything that you do, that you're really passionate about it, and it can be hard, even if you don't succeed on the way that people maybe say what is success, but for me, if I love what I do, that's all that matters. So my brain is always like ideas pouring all the time, and I want to find like an outlet where I can put all these ideas. So Burst Concept is in a really early stage, but it's gonna grow a lot. So it's gonna have so much space for growing and collaboration as well. What everybody was talking, for me, is like also collaborate with other artists is really important. And that's how I started. I have all these ideas. I want to put it in a place. So I decided to create Burst Concept. And I got lucky that, not lucky that the pandemic happened, but the pandemic happened. So I was not performing. My husband was back from Macau. So we were like, okay, let's do something with this, with all these ideas. So let's put it there. Definitely, there is a learning curve to create, something new. But also, I feel it's important to bring something new to the table, something different. More on the entertainment industry, on the art industry. Come up with new ideas, new concepts. Get out of your comfort zone, your shell, show something else, and see where it goes.
And that's kind of the jumping off point for Verse Concepts was after I came home from Macau and potted around the house a little bit and, worked on the patio and cleaned the garden and clean the house, and like, fix these things that I've wanted to be
All the house
fixed, all the house projects that have built up over the last 3.5 years while I've been in Macau. And eventually, Max is just like, all right, that's enough of that. I have all these ideas. Help me with one of them. And so that's where I was like, yeah, okay, great. So which idea do we want to work on? So that's actually the aerial heart was the one that really took my interest. It was an apparatus that Max conceived many years ago, and I helped to design. And basically, we thought it was just a beautiful addition to the monotony of the aerial industry, or at least, it's not just an aerial hoop. It's not an aerial heart that you see sold on Etsy. That's made for sitting in with a little crossbar. It's an actual acrobatic apparatus. It moves differently. It's beautiful in the air. And I thought, yeah, you know what? Let's work on this. Let's try and sell this beautiful apparatus that we've been kind of sitting on for many years. And so we thought about...
it wasn't quite sitting on, actually. Before we launched the aerial heart, actually, I had it for about 3 years, and I've been playing with different performers during the photo shoot. So I do a photo shoot, let's say you're a silk artist or a trapeze artist. So I was doing the photo shoot for all these performers, and then at the end of the shoot, they were like, would you like to play with this aerial heart and create some shapes? So I kind of been workshopping for about 3 years until we did the branding and all that process.
Yeah. So initially it was like, okay, let's do a Kickstarter. Let's do some kind of funding program to try and get this off the ground, to launch first concepts, to launch it with the initial product, which is the aerial heart. Which we thought was also quite appropriate in the times, just kind of trying to send a little bit of love out into the world, literally, visually. And so basically then that turned into, you know what, let's actually not use Kickstarter. Let's go about this ourselves. But how do you build a following? How do you release a product? How do you start this kind of business? And these are all things that neither of us knew, but it's that learning process, and that's really what got us interested, what got us involved, especially on my end, because I'm not the aerialist. Max is the aerialist. This is his world. I know a lot of it, but I've never been an aerial performer. I've never been a photographer. So for me, it was a really good chance to learn so many new skills, especially on the business and organizational end of things. I still wouldn't say I'm a pro at marketing or social media. I think a lot of us at our age especially have a lot of problems with that, so we need to bring in some 20-somethings to help us. Then basically this is how Max is just like, well, we've got all these artists, I've got all the photos. Let's start releasing these photos, not only as a way to promote our products, but also we noticed that people had been disappearing from social media. People had been disappearing into themselves, away from the world. Talking to a lot of friends, everybody's down, they're bored, they're not doing anything, they can't find the motivation. So to be able to actually put out some images of these people, feature them a little bit, and actually, people were actually saying, it's nice to just see some artistic products coming out, to see some artistic images, to see some inspiration. Just like you guys were saying before about having conversations and that kind of motivating and just getting the juices flowing. That's kind of what we were trying to do at the same time. And then people started asking for photo shoots with Max because they'd been seeing these and they're like, I need to get out of the house, I need to do something. And then they would come over and do the photo shoot, and just by doing that, they'd say, I feel like I've done something with my day. I feel productive. I feel energetic and engaged again. So it's just, it's nice to see those little pieces line up and actually, just get everything kind of flowing again, even if it's for one person.
Yeah, just during this pandemic and this hard time, just that you can help actually to bring some light to another person for the day, it's really rewarding, and I think it's 100% worth it. So that's what keeps us motivated. And also for me, you see the final product, but each photo for me takes me like 45 minutes. And usually retouch 10 photos of the artist. So also it's like, they're also my friend because in the release. So also for me to just be with them throughout my whole day, retouching their face and just picking out the colors. I don't know. It's been really helpful also for me, to don't go crazy, with the emptiness that
an
it
exchange.
was. So that was really good too.
I think we were all looking for an exchange, right? Of anything, emotions, creatively,
Jean, that comment you made of where do I start? That was like a huge thing on my side, and the whole social media and how to brand yourself and how to get your message out was a huge overwhelming thing when you look at it. And we've had these chats today as well. Like it's so overwhelming because
social media.
Where do you start? Yeah, like once you get the ball rolling, I feel like then it's kind of okay. But it's that how do I do this?
How do you reach? How do you approach? How do you put yourself out there? Because these days social media, I found, not all the platforms, but some social media, they don't, some people, it's not the right thing what you are showing there, but it's the fantastic thing is what everyone is following, it's like, how do you get that followers, the right followers? I don't want to get any followers. I don't want to have 100,000 followers, but they are not the right ones. It doesn't interest me, right? I want the followers that actually they're going to be interested on what we're doing and have an exchange and communicate with us and bring us something to ourselves. And we have to keep learning. We're new, right? We're new. But really, the social media, it's boom. It's really hard. It's one of the biggest challenges for me,
Yeah.
So Charlie, where did you start? So tell us, so obviously you get presented with all those big problems, but where's step one for you, or what was step one for you?
Yeah. So, I looked around at just how other companies, not necessarily anything to do with circus or entertainment or anything to do with that, and how they launch or what they do. And it's a very costly thing, marketing and creating content and all that. And obviously, starting a business in the pandemic, finances is not necessarily in abundance to throw at marketing because this is a slow build. It's not something we can throw loads of money in initially because it's just not there right now, if we're honest. And I just to go what Max and Jean were saying, it is amazing how generous and how supportive and how much this community will get behind a message or an individual or a company. And if done in the right way, you can get people can be very, like I said, be very, very supportive. So for the way that we did it was we wanted to show basically all these amazing performers, and everybody's taking pictures and doing different content. And so we reached out to a lot of performers. That's one of I would say my strengths is that I know a lot of people, which is why we started this, and basically said, hey, we'd love to feature you as a featured performer and show all your cool images. And I think we reached out to so many people, and I think one person said, what do I get out of it? One person out of 200-300 people that we spoke to, and we said, oh, can we retouch this picture and add in some branding and make it cool and do all that? And everyone's like, go for it, that's amazing. And then we started doing it and would get messages from people, hey, can you make one for me, please? Can you make one for me? That's really cool. And while everybody's at home, it was it actually worked really well. And like I said, everybody just kind of jumped on board, and I'm super lucky and super grateful to have that support. So it almost became like not a shout out, but it's like, hey, look at this amazing person, and we wanted to show this amazing person, and they're happy to be on there, and you credit everybody that should be credited, and you do it the right way, and all that kind of stuff. So that's how we did it, with not really having any money to do it. So, and not being able to have our own photo shoots, which is something we will be doing, and making videos and doing all that stuff. And we started doing that now. But yeah, initially that was how we did it. And it was, again, using the people around me and around us to say, this is what I'm trying to do. Like, will you help, or do you want to be part of it? And that "do you want to be part of it" message, it resonated with everyone pretty much. Like I said, one person said, well, what do I get for sharing that on my page? And I'm like, well, I mean, do you want to be part of it? Oh, it's okay, but one out of hundreds. So that just shows you what you can do if you work together and you bring everyone. So that's how I did. I also was a little bit fortunate. My partner is extremely good on Photoshop and has a degree in design. So I had a nice little leg in the foot in the door on that one. I won't take credit for it, but so that was a nice free labor, because it's time consuming. Like Max was saying, I watch how he's making it. It takes forever. So yeah, that's kind of how we did it, and Max and Jean kind of did it the same, I think, similar way. Their social media looks amazing, and Sparc's as well. How did you do it, Eddie? Because I know initially, a few phone calls of Eddie being like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, I mean, we have your help, right? We have your help. Well, us in the beginning, we had to state what we wanted. We had our service. We had stated what we wanted. We knew who we were. A consultation firm for performing arts, entertainment industry. As you say, financially, we didn't know that's not the way it should look. It's not the right rate. Yeah, it was like, but anyway. So we, financially, of course, like you said, Charlie, we didn't know where we were going, and it's really difficult to say, I'm going to put the money down in, where you don't know if you're going to have a job next day or next month or next year, right? Now we know it was next year. But I had my husband actually help us. My husband is actually another acrobatic coach and performer. He performed for Cirque du Soleil, and he took the chance of actually learning with us the graphic designer website. So he started to do that on the pandemic confined time, and he's like, I take it. I take that's a responsibility. I'm gonna start to do it, and he did the whole page, and then we reached out to Charlie and his partner, because at the end, of course, he was learning, and we needed that little touch up into that, ending look of a Sparc. So we had that collaboration with Charlie. We had many collaborations with Charlie, actually, from the beginning. So we really like it. It became, like how we want it, and it had that spark that. And that's how it started. But for us, it's a little bit different into the social media, because I find Versus Concept and Charlie, they can use that artist to be showing their concept, their vision, who they are. As it's a little bit different. I will say, and you can interrupt me anytime, Richard, if you think differently. But for me, it was important that people started to know us as Sparc as individuals and who we are, and not as Cirque du Soleil. I love the Cirque du Soleil. I work with them for 23 years. I take my hat out. They're a great company. But for me, it was important that it was not Cirque du Soleil and Sparc, because we worked for that company for so many years that people know we are a small community. They know us, So how do we put ourselves out there that, we strengthen ourselves and they start to know us because of our expertise and knowledge of all these years that of course we learn with big companies, and we are lucky and we I feel that I feel good about it, of course, but you know what I mean. It was that was the big challenge for me, to how to bring it into the marketing that we were doing, and bring it into social media. So we could show any show that we did, but actually all the shows that we did together with Richard, they're with the same company, you know?
Yeah. I mean, for us to start, we've learned a lot. The first thing is we took the time at the beginning. We kept postponing the opening and the launching of Sparc because we needed to, first of all, make a list of who we were and how we were going to brand ourselves. So, and what we were going to offer. And this took a while to just figure out, okay, these are the services that we know that we can offer people, and we have something to say about. The other thing too is we started to educate ourselves in the support that was around. There are companies, and I encourage people that want to do that to do the same. There were organizations in around Montreal that would help young enterprise in giving them advice. So we would sit down with them and we would tell them what our project was, and they would help us, tell us, give us advice, directions, resources that we can go find. And I also learned, we've also learned, Eddie and I, what our strength and how we complement each other. And Eddie is the marketing person, and she deals with the social media. I'm not as good as her on this one, but I deal with
I'm
the
starting to have help. Yeah.
But I deal with the accounting part of things. I deal with the government. We've also figured out what kind of company we want it to be, and then we've discovered there's so many of them. So what we opted for was a partnership, which was the most flexible way, which is two self-employed entities that comes together and create a partnership. And so we've learned about this also as well, because it's very flexible in the way we operate. So we can do things together as Sparc. We can do things individually on our own. So there's so many different options. The first thing for us that we need to do is educate ourselves on all these options, and then figure out what was the best for us, and then start. The other thing too is you kind of have to be. I call it fearless. Some people may call it a bit blind, but we just jumped in. At some point you're like, just let's do it and let's figure out how it's going to come. So there's a little bit of preparation, but also of being daring and courageous, and just go for it.
Yeah, because we kept postponing, and then one day we say, let's just do it. Let's just launch. But that was easy, actually. It was after.
Yeah.
Let's just put it out there and then learn with the process. Give us feedback. We were waiting for people to contact us and give us feedback and tell us everything that they will feel or not understand. Do you understand us, who we are, right? To put so we are in the process of keep learning. It's a step by step. So slowly we are growing up, and we are liking the direction that we're going, but still we have to learn tons. So, you cannot pretend to, just put a company like that and woohoo, successful and tons of millions of dollars.
And things go wrong. Things go wrong. I mean, like an example on my side. So I had a whole website and database, like, very complex website built, which obviously I have no idea, or had no idea how to do that or how to operate that or anything like that. So I put my trust into a designer who created this fantastic website. It's very good. We did all the tests and everything was great. And then we launched, which was super exciting. And we bit the bullet, like you said, and went for it. And then there was this massive influx of people coming onto the website, which we hadn't anticipated, and the website decided to crash. So this was on day Yeah, this was on day one, and we just we were just talking. We planned this whole Instagram thing. We planned all this stuff, and we went for it. And then I'm getting message after message saying it's just spinning, and I was like, it won't save. And obviously, I'm then having absolute panic attack, and so trying to figure it out. And then it took a couple of days to figure out how to make it able to handle that flow. So obviously that's not exactly how the rollout we wanted it to happen, but again, it is what it is. Like, and I'm not a tech genius, and so we had to learn as we went and figure out. Now I know a lot about websites, which I had no idea about before. Had to stay up late at night working on it when nobody's meant to be on there, and 4 a.m. like doing it because it's a quiet time for traffic. It was interesting, but again, like you said, we learn.
Well, we can't be afraid to be challenged. We're creative people, no? I mean,
yeah.
Sorry, Anna, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
No, I was agreeing with you, and I think all of the facet of what you don't realize is incorporated into running a business springs up when you start to run the business. Right? You're like, oh, I need to do that. Oh, I need to do that. Right? A quick side story. The starting point is always the hardest point. And when I was like, well, I can't start a site without content, so I literally called up 50 of my friends. It's like, can you please write 3 articles? I know you're not a writer, but you can just write something. We'll fix it. It's going to be fine. And that's it. That's how we started. It's like you said, it's about, as Isia says, is you just jump in and you got to figure all of those facets out. Although that does take tenacity. So I'm of much admiration for you guys, putting yourselves out there. Jean and Max, is there any kind of unexpected challenges that you came across or surprises when you started?
I don't know if you call it a challenge, but same thing when we were building our website, never done it before. Hey, let's use Wix because they're supposed to make it easy for you. I built an entire website. We kind of loved it, looked really nice. And then we asked our friend Nicole, who's a graphic designer, really in general, actually.
She also did a logo.
She made our logo. She actually conferred with Max in the beginning about the aesthetic of the brand and that kind of thing. Anyway, I took a look at our website and said, you know what? Let me throw up one page really quickly so you can see just a template to see how I would do it. And of course, she threw that up, and we're like, "Yeah, that's a lot better than what we did." So then, kind of went through and redid the entire website with that kind of aesthetic, that kind of template. What other little challenges have we had?
Well, at the beginning, so we had the product, we know what we wanted to show, so we were working on that, and then we were like, oh, but we don't have any followers. So how are we going to start showing something or try to sell something if nobody knows what are we doing besides, I'm an acrobat, he's a diver, coach. So the idea was but also I've been photographing all these people for the last couple of years, and I never had time to show that. So that was kind of a lucky found on my hard drives. So I went back to all these years of work and create a specific aesthetic. Also, when you do branding, you need to try to be consistent with your aesthetic.
You've done that very well. You've done that very well. You can spot a Max verse image branding a mile off, and it's
yeah, and I feel it's important also when you work with artists are expecting a nice clean finished product, or at least as an artist, I appreciate when I see that. So we decide to push everything a little bit farther, the opening, and start first building a community around. So it was about a month, just featuring different artists. We also have one artist that also say, maybe not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's fine.
Yeah.
It's totally acceptable. I was like,
yeah,
it's okay. I was like, it's just cross collaboration, if people don't want to have the collaboration, it's fine as well.
Yep.
So yeah, we started featuring artists, and then when people they didn't know what it was about, everybody thought it was just about photography, and a lot of people, they still think it's also about photography, but also there is more layers of it. We will show you a little bit later. So yes, so that was really helpful to first create a group, a community with all this image that I had previously, and then we start posting the videos, 10 days before the launch, like coming up. Creating expectation is also interesting and fun, and then when we had everything organized. Also, but the launching date was a little bit chaotic because few adjustments. The website.
And we decided to launch on November 1st. We decided to do like a 3-day kind of launch series, and without really thinking that probably the biggest election in history was on November 3rd. And nobody would be paying attention to whatever we're going to be doing.
It's good to check your calendar.
Yeah.
And see holidays on politics or everything will happen around, because
the same thing happened to me actually. Yeah, you just reminded me. Obviously the Black Lives Matter movement was happening when we were about to launch, and then we planned for it to be on one day, and luckily the Black Square Instagram and social media statement that everybody was doing to support was going to be the same day that we were going to do our Instagram launch, and we were like, okay. And it's not something I really keep on top of all that of Instagram stuff. I luckily saw that, and you're so right. Like it can really change. Then we pushed it 2 weeks so that we could allow that to happen.
Unexpected, social media, like a movement, like the
exactly
stuff like that. So it's unpredictable, but you had to try to navigate around that.
I'd forgotten about that.
But yeah, I think taking these things and rolling with the punches and not freaking out, but trying to figure out a way that maybe you can build on that same as the general theme of what we're talking about right now. Take a crisis and turn it into an opportunity somehow. Rather than just get creative. Think of what, this isn't what I planned. This is not at all what I planned, but what can we do now that we're in this position to take the best advantage of this position?
There's a lot of books and videos online that also you can access for free that talk about branding and all that. I think for everybody who wants to start a new company, I recommend to do some research and find some material online, because it's really helpful. It's really helpful. Definitely things that sometimes you don't consider, you put it there, and then when you go through these videos, you do a checklist and okay, and then fill up the gaps.
So it's interesting now. So you've all created these companies, and we seem to have some kind of window out of the pandemic now. So sort of in a couple of questions, what do you think our arts community is going to look like post-pandemic? What's going to be positive or negative, or how is it going to shift? And also, how would you like to see your business grow within that? Because I think Cirque du Soleil will come back online and jobs will come back. So how do you foresee where you are now and, 2-3 years, we may not know that, but 2-3 years down the track, where would you like to see yourself? We'll start with Charlie.
Yeah. So I quickly learned to have a plan, but really not try and stick to it too much and kind of go where the river's taking you. Because we really don't know how big a company is going to come back, how the industry is going to come back. Like I said earlier, I really do think that it's going to open the doors to newer creators and newer companies, and because conversations I've been having with former directors from the big companies who are now being approached by hotels or other producers because they're now available, and they're like, oh great, let's access people like Richard and Eddie. Let's speak with them, and they're doing different pitches. So it's showing that I think it's going to hopefully open up more of a wider opportunity net. For our company in particular, we'd love to be that resource that these new shows, new producers, directors will come to as hopefully as a trusted source for that. But really just to kind of be able to be flexible and adapt. Like for instance, the model of ICA is very much a casting services company, mainly to the larger productions. Right now, there are no big large productions happening. So we also do represent artists in an agent format for some opportunities that the producer only works in that way. It's not necessarily the model that we really want to push too much, but right now that's what some, for instance, the cruises work in that model. It's okay. We want to use you, give us your recommendations, but you represent the individuals. Whereas there's other companies that will work as a casting services, which is great. But being able to, like I said, say yes to everything and try and allow the company to grow. And I'm very fortunate that I have a great team of people around me with all different disciplines and all different experiences who are doing their own projects, and they're doing their own thing, but are there to support the big projects when they come on. And hopefully the more and more that will happen, the bigger that team will become, and then the bigger the network will become, and then we can kind of have a central resource is kind of where we go. But the positive thing, I think, is I do think there's going to be a lot more opportunity and a lot more shows and different companies coming out of this. It won't necessarily be quite the monopoly, I don't think. I hope not, anyway.
What are your thoughts, Richard and Adesio?
Well, I think that for us, the great thing about Sparc is it was built not just to cover a needs that we saw during the pandemic, but also after. So we have enough services and enough things that we offer that is going to survive this pandemic and definitely, hopefully, grow as well. What's interesting to me when you look at what's happening right now, and I had this discussion with an ex-colleague of mine a few days ago, is that what the pandemic is doing is it's opening up a window of people to sit down and think about the industry and what direction it could be and what's new, what could be new or a new approach to it. We have and that window at some point is going to close, because once we go back into full operations and the madness starts to go again with the number of shows and so on, we're not going to have as much time on our hands. But the fact that we do have time on our hands, we have time to think about creativity as opposed to profitability. And this is really what happened before the pandemic, is that we were, a lot of the big companies, they were really into, how the bottom line. So how much profit can we make, and what are the different creative way to make money? Where when you focus a lot on that, what happens is you don't have as much innovative new thing that comes out. And the innovation comes from the artist in his garage doing something and trying something new, and then all of a sudden everybody knows about it on YouTube. Now, a lot of people have a chance, even the big companies, to sit down because they can't do shows. We have a chance to be creative and try new things and be daring, because we have nothing to lose at this point. So when we have nothing to lose, there's no fear. And when there's no fear, there's a lot of creativity and innovation. So we have to take advantage of that time, I think, as much as possible. And for Sparc, I think for Sparc, it's a question of continuing to get people to know who we are, what we have to offer, because we're going to be ready to start creating again and going out there and helping either companies or individuals to create new things and be back in front of an audience. Eddie?
Yeah, you say it all. I mean, I cannot say it better, Richard. I mean, as you say, when we thought about a Sparc, we didn't even we thought about a Sparc, of course, because we had the time and the opportunity, right? We have that time that we never have before to create something new, but we will look at into the future already. We saw that this company was not just because of the current times that we were on it, if not that could, continue with the same vision and the same goals in the future, So I'm not, I'm super positive and that we'll go forward and we'll grow with no problem. I have, I'm so yes to that. One thing that I wanted to mention is maybe I don't know. It's something that I thought about it because I've been seeing a lot out there on the negative side. It's for the artists mainly. Is to be to have it's an awareness to not devaluate yourself. I've been seeing a lot of artists out there that are being financially hurt, and companies too, of course, but I'm talking more to the individuals that I work with them more often, that you had, this industry, performing art, the entertainment industry, you work really hard, and people doesn't know how hard we work and what is the experience that we have and how much knowledge we have, and it's not appreciated. And now I think it can be, I will say, it can be damaged because why? In the pandemic, we give our hearts out, we give our passion out. We did it with not wanted anything in exchange, meaning financially. And right now that we actually need it, I hope that big companies, they are not, they are good to us, that we find that compromise, that we know we are all hurt, but that we are not devalued, if I explain myself correctly. I'm afraid of that because I'm an artist. I will be all my life an artist, right? And it's needed that people can remount themselves slowly. We have to be aware of that client that comes to us, but we have to be aware also about who we are and how valuable we are into the market, because I already saw many artists working for nothing compared to other years. I already saw that, and it's a call out there, it's an awareness that value yourself. You are good, you are passionate, you work really hard to be where you are, whatever level, and it needs to be noticed. Yeah.
I think that is definitely the mountain to climb, especially as companies will probably want to come back quite risk averse, lower budgets and smaller stuff while the industry comes back. If they can't fill an audience straight away, that is the danger. So defending that is really important. Jean and Max.
Because yes, okay.
Yeah, so it's just an example. I had an artist. Sorry, I had an artist that was given the same fee for what he was doing before for one show, and he was doing 4 shows for the same fee. That's not fair. That's outrageous. So it's an awareness and a call out there. Please don't do that. I feel
that that's a conversation should be in like another webinar, because it's a whole. Because the thing is also now when we talk, it should be like the big shows should have a union. No. Because the problem is, okay, you adjust this salary because of the pandemic and the struggle of the company, and you want the company to succeed, whatever. But the company said like, oh, why in 2 years from now I'm gonna pay you more if actually I was able to hire all this performer for this much, right? So, but I feel that that's a longer conversation to that. So we were talking about the pandemic, post-pandemic. So what I feel like the entertainment industry before the pandemic, it was doing like a cookie cutter. You know, they say, okay, this work, this make money. Let's just paint a different color and replicate it. You know, that's how I felt as an artist. You know, see what is up there. I was like, kind of like copy and paste of a product. And I feel when the pandemic hit, everybody had to start with a clean canvas and start creating. You know, start these online shows or how to adapt your show to be COVID friendly. So everybody start like getting out of the comfort zone. And I hope post pandemic allows to people keep doing that, keep pushing the innovation, do different stuff. Don't stay on the same format because it works, because it makes money. Let's replicate it 10 times. I hope people keep investigating because I feel there is endless possibilities in the entertainment industry that we can all come up and create. So I hope the post-pandemic allows small companies, big companies, just get out of the comfort zone. While you know that it works, you can do it, but also you can do new stuff. So that's my point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely think that there's now that opportunity for, you know, a lot of small companies, people to show their creativity, to maybe bring that up. While, you know, the giants, they fall hard and they take longer to get up and running. At least the advantage of being small, being fast, being quick-witted, being creative is that maybe you can get something up and running a little bit quicker and get ahead of the game. So as was discussed earlier, it's going to come back hard and fast. And it's probably best for everybody to be ready, like to have those ideas in the back pocket. I can see in a few years, you know, Cirque du Soleil is going to be back up and running. I feel like Dragon's always going to be a force. There are a lot of other big, I mean, this is just in circus, and then of course in the other industries, there are the giants, the big companies that are always going to be there. But at least now this is a crack in the armor that allows, you know, the smaller guys to get in a little bit. And I really do hope that with the creativity, especially of everything that's happened online, like Rashad said before, like people have nothing left to lose. Why not try it? Like, I feel like people who probably weren't chasing their ideas before weren't kind of believing in themselves. Even if they don't believe in themselves anymore, hopefully they'll just be like, you know what, I'll give it a go.
Mm-hmm. But nothing stops them for doing it, right? And we are here, all of us, to write their path, you know, to light.
And find out also, because there's a lot of grants right now still going on for the industry. Find out in your neighborhood and where you are, what are those opportunities. I got contacted last week with two ex-artists, or artists that I used to work with in Dubai, and they want to do a little show. There's a grant that they found, and they're just taking the plunge. I think that's wonderful, and I'm sure there's a lot more out there that can help people create their own project. And the other thing that for me, I wish after this pandemic is that society realized the importance of entertainment and what we do in the economy, and also in the social fabric of each culture. I think there's. And I wouldn't say that the entertainment was taken for granted, but we are not considered an essential service per se. But I think once you look at the impact of what we add to, and I think we feel it right now because there's an incredible amount of money and part of the industry is being sort of affecting so many other parts, because it's not just what happens on stage, but it's the graphic artists that are doing the posters, so the people that are doing concessions. It's so large, the contribution that we make, that people will realize this and see how valuable actually we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think to go back on your point, Adicia, too, I think that people doing things for less money and it's a good creative project is dependent on a wonderful process with people who are happy, with people who are positive, and people who create good things. So hopefully those entities that have well-paid artists and a good balance between the business and the creativity is the two pillars of the industry, then those shows will shine, and those shows will be successful over the ones that take advantage of salaries, low salaries or low benefits and things like that. That is my hope. So as we bring back the community, that's what we need to focus on in terms of those good shows, good quality, good conditions, you know. And Charlie's going to fight for that, right, Charlie?
Yes, indeed.
All right, so we're almost hitting 90 minutes here. So before we finish up, I'd really like us to do a little bit of a round table of what do you suggest to people who are listening and who's going to watch this webinar, who registered later? What do you suggest for those who want to turn their passions into a business or their experiences into a business from what you've learnt over the last 12 months in starting your own? Perhaps again, we'll start at round table, starting with Charlie.
Sounds good. Believe. I mean, it sounds very corny and cheesy, but believe in yourself. And then the biggest thing, like I said before, is that things will go wrong, and it might not actually end up following the path that you initially thought it was gonna take. But you just kind of got to be adaptive and flexible. And then, really, like this, I wouldn't be doing this. We wouldn't be doing this if the pandemic hadn't happened. So I always try and have thought about this, kind of had this mentality in life for a while, but bad things happen. And it's how we then move on from that and say, okay, that happened, but how am I going to change it? Or what am I going to do because that happened? Rather than dwelling on it and focusing on how bad things are, it doesn't do anybody any good. So that's the biggest thing. And then just the final bit is even if I'm sure we're all going to be super successful, and this is going to be our companies are going to be the next biggest thing. But on that small chance that it doesn't pan out and it doesn't work out, I am super grateful for everything I'm learning and the experience I'm having, and I am confident that everything that I've kind of gone through in the last 8-9 months has made me better and made me it's going to be so useful moving forward in life, even if it doesn't work out as I intend, and I hope, and it will. But just to say that everything, it's helping. Everything is growing, and I've learned so much, and I really do think that it's going to help in future opportunities and future projects, whatever they may be.
Wonderful. Thank you, Charlie. I think that's amazing. Adicia.
Well, for me, as I said before, my passion is what it moves me, right? I have to say to people that if you have that passion about what you do, whatever you do or whatever you do, and that go forward. And don't stop yourself, reach your community, be a leader team, find that people that complements you, and we're creative people, we have to be run in order to be, to create better, to be better, right? Turn that crisis that we have all, we all been on shows, and we have, I think I did over 40 shows on my 23 years of career, and none didn't have a crisis, right? And that crisis, we turn it into an opportunity to be more creative, right? And I will say 99% of that crisis, it became better. That, that is a challenge. We need to be challenged as a creative. And everyone that is at home sitting and it didn't do that step yet, please do it. Just go for it. There's nothing that stops you. And reach out and put yourself out there. It could be, not maybe the way that you wanted in the beginning, but it will be step by step, slowly. We are here. We will help you. us that we already did one step and we have many to go, we're here to help you.
Wonderful. Richard?
I'll be a little bit more practical. I think take your time to research, first of all, what it is that you have to offer. Research what the market is like and what's your target audience really for what you have to offer. Research the help and the support that you can get from either the different level of government or private organization that can help you gain the knowledge or financial support or just assistance to help you start it. And like Eddie said, find out also within your community who can complement you, who can support you, and who you can associate yourself with. And I think that, and what is your brand? What is it that? What is the image that that you want people to find or to see when they look at you? Because once you launch it, if you've done this research, then yes, there's going to be a lot of unforeseen things that will come up, but you'll be ready, and you'll learn along the way. And like Charlie and Eddie said, don't get discouraged because that's bound to happen. So expect it. But yeah, do a little bit of research, take your time, and you'll see that there is really, once you have that drive and there is so much potential and experience and knowledge and offerings that you have that for the public. It's just a question a lot of times to just keep going.
Wonderful. Max?
So that was so many great advice. So it's hard to top it up, but contribute a little bit. So I feel like it's really important to reach out to other people that they have like a small business or a platform or something similar, even if it's not similar, but kind of like fall in the same category that what you're doing. Reach out to them. Don't be afraid and ask for guidance. We have reached out to a couple of people, Philip and Alana from Design Control. He gave great advice at the beginning because they've been doing that for longer than us. You know, like people like that, you will be surprised how generous people are giving guidance and advice. So I would say just don't be afraid to reach out. Even if you don't know the people, just, ask questions. Doesn't hurt. Don't try to take it all on yourself. I think that's one thing that can help. And the other one, also feedbacks. Be willing to get feedbacks and be able to adapt on that. So that's my true advice.
Yeah. As far as building on how we built our business, I feel for a lot of people that looking at your artistic project or looking at your idea and thinking about it in business sense can be absolutely 100% overwhelming and doesn't even make you want to take that first step. And we were kind of in the same boat there. So how we actually approached Verse Concepts was more as an artistic project, an artistic platform. We knew that, right now we don't have jobs. We're going to actually just throw something out there and try it, but not put all of our expectations, not invest everything that we have in this idea. It's the arts after all. You don't want to invest all your own money in the arts, in one artistic project, that kind of thing. Quite often, sometimes you do, and if you've got that platform that you are really confident with and you think is going to be a complete success, yes, absolutely, throw it all in. But if you're looking at an artistic project and thinking, hey, I'd like to make something of this, I feel like there's less pressure on yourself, less pressure on your mental health to approach it as an artistic project and let it build on itself. Obviously, yes, reach out to the people who you think would be able to help you. that's also another really hard thing for some people to do, is actually reach out for help. But
It's scary.
It's very scary, but it's something that you would be surprised. 99% of the time, people are willing to help, even if it's just a short conversation, something, or if they can point you in a different direction, point you in the right direction. Just reaching out to people and seeing if they can help. And
especially now,
yeah.
especially now, they're my experience was everybody was super generous and super kind with their time. And I think this year has slowed people down a bit and really opened that door. So I agree. It's scary, but it helps massively.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. But I think one really important thing is, taking care of your own mental health as well, as far as getting in that mental space to be able to pursue this project successfully. Reaching out for help where you need it, talking to the right people, just getting yourself in the right space to do that kind of thing. I have a feeling that in this pandemic, 99% of us, again, probably struggled at some time with ups and downs, anxiety, depression. What am I going to do with my life? That kind of thing. And that's going to be residual. Like, I don't think we can expect that everything's going to go back to normal really quickly. So I think it's just important for everybody to understand that, there is this, not to take it as pressure to get your thing started and get it successful and get it running. And you don't have to be successful straight away. It's going to be a process. And it's, at times it's going to be hard, but you just got to realize that you got to be patient, and there are people out there who can help you.
And I think some of the people that can help you are on this webinar right now. I think the door is open, and I have put the website in the chat there. So if you want to reach out to any of these wonderful people, I think you've got the vibe from today that they're very open to receiving any kind of questions from those who are watching. Lady and gentlemen, thank you so much for spending some time with Theatre Art Life today, and it's been a wonderful conversation. I wish you all the best for your businesses in the future coming out of the pandemic, and I look forward to watching from close and from afar, wherever we may be in the world. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you so much.
Right.
Beautiful.
And thank you for those who stayed with us for 90 minutes on this wonderful webinar. Everybody give a big wave before we sign off.
Good job.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Ciao.